Technology nowadays.
It's like you gotta like have everything set up, and I normally I do podcasts in person, right? But with everything kind of going on, I have to do everything online, which is not bad.
Yeah,
It opens up a lot of opportunities to different people,
for
um,
sure.
but at the same time, I have to deal with the audio quality and just all that kind of stuff. So,
How's mine? Is it all right now?
oh yeah, you sound fine.
Good, good.
But yeah, man. So how are you dealing with all this heat?
I actually work construction too, so I've been working outside the last 2 3 weeks with all this heat warning and stuff, and we get done maybe an hour or two early now with the heat, but it's still sweating out there. It's like I'm cutting weight.
Literally, eh? Like that.
Yeah,
You just sit out in the heat for a couple hours and you're all good. You're ready for a fight.
for sure.
And so I guess we'll kind of get right into it. So yeah. So what made you decide to get into MMA?
Actually, I did a lot of street fighting, so I learned that you can get in trouble that way. So I was pretty good at it too, and I was like, oh, why don't we try my talents in an octagon, you know? So I stopped street fighting and I turned it to the cage and started tearing up from then.
Okay. And how many like amateur fights did you have?
I did 16 amateur fights. I went 9-6. A lot of those losses are by judges' scorecards because I fought up a weight class than I do now as a pro,
Oh,
and I was only dropping maybe 5 6 pounds as an amateur, and then you see guys dropping like over 25 pounds just to come fight at 135 with me, and they would use their weight and take me down and just kind of just lay and pray and collect points, and the judges would see that as dominant position, so that's how they get those wins from me. So never been submitted, never been knocked out, never been TK'd, just judges scorecards.
that's good. Yeah, I would never really want to get knocked out in my life. So, like, even when you've trained, you never been like, clipped or hurt. I mean, obviously, you're not trying to, get yourself hurt before a fight, but you never had an accident or nothing like that.
Actually, my last pro fight in Windsor, I think it was December 6th. I had a slip and rib, which is the rib kept popping in and out a week prior to the fight, and I went to physio for the week, but it was still there, so uh, it wasn't too bad because he didn't hit me during the fight. But I still fought with a slip and rib.
Oof, that sucks.
Yeah,
How do
no
you
pain, no gain.
how do you manage to do that?
It was like I was in the zone. I was in there for one mission and one mission only. It was to go tear him up, and I didn't even think about it the whole fight until like after the fight, where it was kind of a little sore. But other than that, it was all right.
Oh no, I meant like how do you manage to do that like during training? Like,
During training, it was hard. I kind of weaned off like some sparring. I weaned off with the weights, with the abdomens and stuff. I kind of just did really cardio.
oh yeah.
So I just use my legs and stuff. So I kind of, as I was recovering for that week, it wasn't like 100%. I would probably say I was at like 60% that fight. But yeah, it was hard. Never had that happen before, so it was like scary.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I guess when it comes to MMA or any kind of physical sport like that, sometimes injuries like that are just semi-injuries. You kind of just have to go through with it and just push through. I guess. I mean, because nobody wants to really back out of a fight over something. It could be really small, like a broken part of your foot or a broken toe. I mean, if you can still fight and you can get through it, you know,
Yeah.
but like, so you never been like knocked out or never like submitted in like training or anything like that.
During training, I've been caught a couple times, but as a fighter mentality, like my IQ registers that, and it
Right,
shows me what not to do to get allow that to happen again. You
right,
know, during training, if you don't get tapped by one of your guys, how are you going to prove for that fight, right? So I've been dazed dazed a couple times during training camps, but I really haven't had like that top notch like where everybody's coming at me to injure me. It's mostly it's my training camp. They respect me. They know I do this for a living, and if I can't fight week prior, then you know that's not good for me. So they take it into consideration that I have a fight, and just go off what I feed them, like the intensity and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. My gym, we take consideration on what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that tends to happen for sure. Yeah, like I do like semi training, like nothing serious. It's just more lifestyle than anything, just something fun to learn.
Hmm.
I've been caught before. I got kicked in the roundhouse to the head. That wasn't too much fun. That was more my own fault. We were just told like you can do whatever you want. Like we're doing more just boxing, and then it got to a point where I love wrestling. Like I love like high crotch takedowns, things like that. So that's exactly what I was going for. And I think it was just I didn't see the kick, and the kid was just throwing everything, and he loves throwing kicks, and I didn't realize that. And it was just like one of those.
Yeah, your problem was you didn't set up that takedown. That's probably why. And
Can
you just caught the head coming in.
you still hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I just thought I saw something on my screen. Yeah, and I think that's what it was, and it just kind of connected at the same time. And I was like, what? I couldn't see what was going on, and all I could see was like something like his fist going, and you could hear it's like stop, 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 no, no, no. And so that was like I think that was the first thing, and then the second time we were just kind of rolling, and I really got into it. I was getting frustrated because I was getting my ass beat, and so I got caught in a triangle choke, and it's just a slow choke, right? So I didn't really.
Yep.
All the next thing I know, they were trying to wake me up. So yeah, that wasn't really too much fun either. But at least I got to experience. So when if I ever get in a real if I ever get in a real fight with anybody, or ever have to protect myself on the street, then at least I'm not really scared to get hit, I guess, or not.
That's true.
I'm not scared to like know what that's like. So like I got my black belt in Shotokan, but like besides that, like that's more self defense, not so much fight.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was kind of going off topic here, talking about myself.
No
Needing,
worries.
yeah. So like, how was the process? How was the process moving from amateur to pro?
It took me a few years. My coach, he's like, wait till we get like a few fights under your belt. You don't want to jump pro too quick, too fast, right? Because it's a level up in competition, right? You gotta wean yourself into that and know when you're ready. But when amateur got banned, I seen a lot of people going pro and a lot of people getting injured because they were jumping too fast, too quick, right? So
Right.
you kind of I was fortunate enough to get 16 fights in before amateur got banned in Ontario. So, I've been at the game for a while, shake those cobwebs, the fighters, when you get in that ring, it's like, it's a totally different dimension, right? It plays with your head, and you got to have your head in the right spot in order to, get in there and do your thing like it's natural.
Yeah. Like.
So when I got 16 fights in, I'm like, okay, I took a year off because I had my baby girl, and now she's 2, right? So I went pro last year. I took a year and a half roughly, and the medicals are the stress, to get your pro license, because you have to have it in within a certain time, a certain day, and you have to have EEG, ECG, X-rays, like it's a whole works. So that was very stressful. But Dr. Faisal, shout out to Dr. Faisal. He did my medicals last year, and I had nothing to worry about. It was all done in one day. It was all boom there. Got my medicals done. Got the card within the week or two. My pro license. So it was pretty good. Before that, I tried to do it by myself and didn't have anything in on time. Because it was 90 days, and I was trying to all stressing about it. and unfortunately I didn't get it all in on time, so I had to redo it again.
Right. So like, yeah, I guess that would be kind of frustrating for sure. I mean, so is it more the medical part that plays in a factor in getting your pro license, or?
I think for me personally, it's more the medical, getting everything in on time, that plays a factor on me getting a license, and why I took so long to get a pro license.
Okay.
Because I personally, I think I've fought like pretty top notch guys in the amateur scenes. Some of them are, going to the UFC right now. Like I did a 32-man showdown with Malcolm Gordon out of London, and he's fighting on Fight Island July 18th.
Malcolm.
So
Yeah. I think, and I don't want to bring race, but he's black, right? I'm
yes, yeah.
same guy. Okay. Yeah, that's who I thought. Yeah. Well, when you said Malcolm Gordon, I thought I was thinking someone else. But I was like, no. I think I know who I'm talking about. So yeah. So yeah, he's fighting. He's not fighting this weekend, right?
July 18th, Fight
But
Island.
okay. Right.
And big props to him. He's been on number one rankings in Canada for like the past year or two at 125. So big props for him, and he deserves it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, how did you have any nerves making your pro debut, or?
Actually, my second fight, I had more nerves than my making my first my pro debut. My
What?
second fight in Windsor. My first fight was in London. I didn't have really any nerves. I knew I was training hard because I did a 12-week training camp instead of eight or 10, right? So it was just like go. I was ready for it.
But like, and then the second one, like, was that the one you had the injury?
Yes. That's why I think it was more nervous for myself. But once I got in that octagon, I was like, yeah, this is it. Let's do it. It's either me or him, and I know I'm not losing, so he's gonna get an ass whooping, hurt or not.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your two pro fights here. So they're both stoppages. One was KO, and then the other one was submission. So, what do you prefer? Would you rather go for a KO, or would you rather get the submission in a fight?
I like the KOs, but whatever comes to me, I'm gonna go for it. I'm well rounded. So my first fight, the guy was a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm not even a white belt, and I handled him pretty good on the ground. It was back and forth for a little bit. I actually took him down, and it was a double leg scoop takedown, and I'm sure he was shocked. Like I would. Take him down because he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu and I'm not even a white belt. But I always like to say, if you're a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, I'm going to knock you down to a white belt by punching you in the face while you're on the ground, right? So it's a totally different, you got no gi and you got fists coming at you. So me personally, I don't go for the belts in jiu-jitsu because I don't prefer a gi. I don't like a gi.
I
But if I needed to, then I would.
Yeah, I'm not the only one that doesn't like geese. I can't stand them. I'd rather just learn. I just rather just learn everything without the gi. It's I don't know.
Yeah, I find it a hassle because you can grab onto it and you're not throwing any punches. Like that's just not me, right? So and I've competed with in the octagon with actual brown belts and they can't even submit me yet until they find a way. I think I'm doing pretty good.
Exactly, man. It's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, I went to Concept BJJ over by
Oh, with Dax, yeah, he's a pretty good guy. I enjoy him.
yeah, and I went over there and I knew I had some knowledge in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Like I had obviously I'm not the best out there, but like I have some good knowledge. And at the time I was training a lot, and I went over there and we had to wear a gi, so I had to go bring my gi. I had to bring my belt, and I was like, do I wear the black belt there? I didn't want to like show any disrespect, so I had to throw a white belt on, and I go in and they're doing all this gi shit, and I'm like, oh geez, like I feel like I don't know what I'm doing because like
Yeah.
you have to use the gis. You can't just go ahead and do whatever you want. So that was definitely interesting. So I get what you're saying about not liking the gi. Um, yeah. So I heard about. I think it was your coach that said that CK combat might be coming back, or
Yes, we are reopening. I think tomorrow we're gonna reopen, and the gym's gonna be in full swing. I haven't trained personally since December,
Oh,
since my last fight, so I need to shake the cobwebs off, and and I'm the type of guy. Once I get back in there, everything comes right back to me. I took a year and a half off, and then I went for a pro fight just right then and there, and everything came back to me. And as you can tell, after the first round, I shook out all the rest. And then the second round, I came out and knocked them out. So, you
yeah,
know,
yeah, that was a good fight. I remember watching that too. Yeah, because that was the prospect, right?
yeah, Prospect Fighting Championship. Shout out to Jamie Champion, who put me on the card. He's like, Matt, I have had you a lot on the amateur scenes. You're a killer. But the only thing you need is cardio, so these guys can't take advantage of you when you get tired, right? So
Yeah,
I knew that from the start. I was a smoker, so I'm like, I gotta quit this bad habit and get that cardio up, and that's what I did. I took my game to a new level. I went to peak athletics to do my strength and conditioning with Bob Vandersloot and Frankie Parker, and they brought my cardio and strength to a new level over there.
right on, man. Yeah, so let's talk about CK Combat again. So who else do you train with besides the other?
Uh, I train with a bunch of guys there. Frank Parker, my coach, he's mostly my main guy. That we do a lot of stuff there. I got like Evan Krishner. He's like my size. He's good at boxing. He was waiting for that amateur scene to come back to compete in there. But we might go to Montreal with him because he's looking good standing up. I got Bill Gardner. He's a bigger guy. He fought 3 times in amateur. But just a lot of versatile for bigger guys and smaller guys. I got Tyler Kirk, my cousin, who also was a pro.
Yeah.
Um, but unfortunately, his last couple fights didn't go his way, and I don't know where his head's at. So even though he's got the mindset, he went pro before I did, and he gives me that prospect on what I need to take from what we're doing and put it in there, right? So I got him. I got who else do I got? Steve Eldridge, my longtime friend Steve Eldridge. He's a
Yes.
good grappler. He's put on a little bit of weight, maybe 60, 70 pounds, but
Well,
uh,
we'll
I got him. He's great. He's always been there since day one with me and Frank. Um, who else do I got? I think those are just the main sets of guys right there that come help me. And in the future, I like to go to other gyms and do some sparring rounds to get some other looks. Um, I also got my buddy, my manager right now, Manuel out of Windsor. He fought on that December card as well with Randy Fields, his girlfriend. So I got different looks with them. That now that he's my manager, so we cross train a little bit here and there, and I get like the look what they're bringing from Windsor, because you got those top teams in Windsor like Maximum Training with the Laramie's and stuff, right? So Manuel is also trained with the Lamreys and was their coach too, so he gives me a little insight on what they bring too, right? So I got a little prospect, a little vision there. So yeah, other than that, that's mostly my main guys.
okay. Yeah, well, yeah, because I've known Steve for a while too. Like just seeing him at the gym and whatnot. And I remember seeing him train, and I think before I knew that he was fighting, and I didn't really know who he was. I remember seeing him going to the gym. He had like like the masks that like suppress your
Actually, yeah, yeah.
on the treadmill, and people were looking at him like, what is he wearing? And then I knew what it was, but I didn't know who he was, but I knew he was training. I'm like, and I had to tell people like, yeah, he must be training for a fight, because most people that are using that either A, are trying to work on their cardio, or B, they're getting ready for a fight. Like that's how people get their cardio in order. And they're like, oh yeah, like we're like, what the hell is he wearing a mask for? And so um, Yeah, I've known Steve for a while too. Yeah,
Yeah, that's an elevation mask, so it reduces your oxygen. So once you take it off, you get your lungs feel like cleared out and stuff, and it helps you during rounds, right? So you only get a minute rest, right? So it helps you develop your lungs better.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard that I saw he got engaged a while back.
Oh yeah, yeah, to Nikki.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all good for him, man. Yeah, I didn't know, like, I didn't know that they were dating for the longest time, and then they threw it on Facebook. I'm like, oh shit, and wow, okay. But
Yeah, it was like maybe a year or two they were dating, and then he took the plunge.
yeah, so yeah, whenever they, I guess they tie the knot there, good for them. Um,
For sure.
so obviously, you said that you kind of took like a year off. You haven't trained since December. Was that your choice, or did with after a couple months after that, did the COVID kind of not play, or did that play or not play a factor in that?
Well, like December, so I took a few weeks off in December, and then I maybe hit the gym like maybe once or twice during like January, February,
Right.
and then COVID happened, right? So my motivation right there, like if I don't have something in line, like a task, then I kind of lose a little bit of motivation. I'm like, what am I doing this for, right?
Right.
So I'm the type of guy, if I set something up, I'm gonna give it 100%, right? So, right, me personally, I just gonna pack on some weight, and some muscle, and eating good. I work daily, Monday to Friday, out in the heat, right? So I'm still getting like a little bit of exercise and stuff, but I just haven't been hitting pads or like sparring or anything due to the fact COVID's happened. So
Yeah.
kind of killed my buzz.
Yeah. I know, like, a lot of people like myself, like, I mean, I got a little bit of a home gym in the basement here, but like besides that, like, it's my workouts haven't been the same, and the motivation to kind of keep the diet in order is really difficult too. Like, you're bored, or you're, not even that. Like, I mean, I've been working a lot more than I have in the last like couple months, but um even at that, like, I think it's just that routine of trying to, like, I think once the gym's kind of open, I feel like once you have something to kind of look forward to, it'll kind of help with the dieting. I think it'll help
Yeah, for sure,
for sure.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah, but yeah. So let's kind of get into that whole weight cutting. So you said that you did fight at 135, and then you are currently fighting at 125.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I walk around like when I was amateur, I walked around at maybe like 142, 143, and I would only cut like 6, 7 pounds to fight at 135. And now that I noticed with my record there, right, how the guys would maneuver themselves, to get the upper advantage and use their body weight. Uh, so I'd be fighting guys that would drop from like 165, 170 ish, and they drop all the way down to 135, right? And then after weigh-ins, they'd put that muscle or weight back on, rehydrate themselves, and they'd have an upper advantage. Me, I'd only be like maybe 4 or 5 pounds up from what I weighed in at, right? So it wasn't like my opponents were like tough, but see, it was like they had an edge with their body weight, and that's the only way they'd win against me personally.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I remember this discussion's been brought up so many times, whether it's been with the guys I train with, or, when I usually host a lot of like the UFC like cards at my house, and we'll kind of bicker and we're chatting while the fights are going on. And one of the biggest subjects that come up is the idea about weight cutting, and about people missing weight, or the idea of people. So when you cut weight and then you do the weigh-ins the day before and the night before, yeah. So like you said, you could have one guy that would only need to cut 5 to 10 pounds, and I mean, it's not going to be a problem for him, and he's going to feel absolutely great. But you have the other guy that might cut 20 or 30 pounds, and he still might be okay, but he's got so much more advantage, and he looks humongous, or he or she looks humongous to the other person. And then you see how they're whooping everyone's ass, but then it's like, when do we get the part where it's like you need to start cutting the weight or you need to cut, or you need to be fighting at the weight that you're weighing in at. Like, I just don't think that it's completely fair. And on top of that, I want you to know your thoughts about the idea about, especially just because UFC is such a big organization. What's your thoughts about fighters who will? Do you think it's the new cheating in the game is fighters missing like 5 or 6 pounds at the weigh-ins, and then they still get to fight, and they take that pay cut to win the fight? Do you think that is a thing that exists?
No, I don't think personally, because me personally, my first pro fight, the guy missed weight. I think he came in at like 129, and he was sitting heavy the week before. I think he was at like 140, 145, and we fought at 125. So me personally, I went in. I made the weight. I was maybe a pound or two lighter. I was like 124 in my first pro fight, and he was over at like 129. And then he had an hour of allowance to try to go make weight, but they would only let you cut a certain percentage of your body weight, right? So it was like 1.2 pounds or something that they would allow him to cut. Anything more, then the fight would be off. But so I made him go and cut another pound just to dehydrate him even more, right?
Oh,
So, and that was my strategy. So the next day I knew he'd be tired and exhausted from cutting that weight, right? So he weighed in at like 128, I think 127, and then I weighed in at 124. The next day he was back up to like maybe 146, 150. I was still only sitting at like maybe 132, maybe,
oh,
after a good meal and rehydrated. But that's why I took him into the second round, because I knew he'd be worn out from all the stuff he did yesterday, because his body was in shock still, right? So sometimes it can be good for people, or sometimes it can be bad because your body's so in shock, right, from trying to cut all that weight and still missing it, right?
oh,
And then the next day you'd be like, my body feels like shit, I cut too much weight, I still didn't make weight. It plays a head factor, right? And then they don't perform as good as they should have.
right. So I mean, every fighter kind of has like a way of cutting weight, whether whatever their diet is. So can you kind of explain me what your diet is? Like, what do you eat to kind of help you cut that weight?
For when I'm in a fight camp, I usually go to the keto diet,
Oh,
with a little bit of carbs to get that extra energy, and then I drink a lot of BCAAs and stuff like that to rehydrate myself. But I cut out all like junk food. I cut out like potatoes. I cut out. I just really eat meat and veggies and cheese for the fight camp to do my diet.
well, you're the second person or the second fighter I've heard of that's done the keto diet for cutting weight. Another guy I just heard, he's fighting this weekend, Jose Aldo. He to make 135, he's doing the keto diet, and apparently he feels absolutely fine at 135, even though he looks like a skeleton. But like, he just looks more like really shredded, and he looks like he's dying. But like, apparently he does a keto diet, and it for some reason that helps him get to 135 no problem. So what is it about the keto diet that helps you get to that weight?
It's just like not eating. It's all fats, right? So your body takes out the carbs and runs on all fats, and I find it works best for me because then I don't have those shitty carbs, right? And then I'm burning off all that fat all the time, right? It's just a go, 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 go instead of carbs, which makes you put on weight, and it's not really good for your body, right? It's all like sugars and stuff like that, right? But if you do fats, it's all like natural for you, like natural fats. It, it, it I just find it much easier to do the keto diet during fight camps than doing whatever anybody else is doing. And, you know, sometimes people's bodies are different, so they have to pick what they do, right? Some keto might work for one guy and not work for the other. So I personally, you know, when I was an amateur, I only cut 5-6 pounds. So I was like eating pizza and drinking pops and stuff the week before. Like it was nothing. But now that I'm pro, I'm cutting a little bit more weight because I dropped down a weight class. So I usually, you know, start dieting 7 to 8 weeks into the before the fight.
Right. So, like when you're obviously you do the keto when you're in the camp. So afterwards, how do you adjust to your diet? Like how you adjust after?
After weigh-ins?
Yes. Or no, sorry. Like yeah, I guess after weigh-ins, but like after your fight, obviously you want to enjoy yourself.
Oh, after weigh-ins, I go right into the good stuff. You know, my first fight, I think I ate like 3-4 course meal right after weigh-ins. And you know, some people that would sit heavy, but I got such a high metabolism that it's like no problem for me. So I got into the pasta that I wasn't having during, you know, fight camp. I got into like, you know, the sweets, and I'm like a sweet guy. Like I love sweets, like chips, you know, chocolate, you know, just all the sweets. I just crave it. But during fight camp, I couldn't have it, right? So then after weigh-ins, my first pro fight, you know, I dipped right into that, and it had no effect on me. It didn't sit heavy on my stomach. You know, I was rehydrated. I was good to go.
Well, that's good, man. Yeah, so I guess we kind of went through all the weight cutting stuff. Do you have any likes or dislikes about the whole fighting aspect?
Some dislikes could be like, you know, you could have a bad promoter who just wants to, like, you know, underpay you, or, you know, just doesn't communicate with you well, doesn't make you feel appreciated. Meanwhile, you're making his show, you know, some are like that. Um, Likes, I enjoy it. You know, I'm an exciting fighter. People like to watch me fight because I bring the crowd to their feet. You never know what I'm going to do. And I just like, you know, I think the more trash I talk, the more people I'm going to bring to that show, or, you know, the comments, or whatever it may be. I just like to bring like the authentic, you know, just like a WWE superstar that, you know, they cut promos all the time. I try to be like something like that. And one guy I really go off of back in the Attitude Era was Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I kind of like to bring his attitude to, you know, shooting my promos, and, you know, trash talking, you know.
Right on, but just don't be drinking any beer in the octagon.
I wish after I celebrate, I usually jump on the cage. I wish someone could toss me one and I chug it right there,
Yeah,
and then tell them to give me a hell yeah.
it'd be pretty awesome. But what can you do? I'm sure you probably
Yeah.
have a beer or two after your fights.
Oh yeah, I have a few drinks. You know, I'm not a big drinker anymore now that I turned pro, and, you know, I'm getting a little bit older. You know, I don't, you know, it's not fun for me right anymore. You know, I'm past that phase. You know, I'll have a drink here and there, you know, for a social gathering,
Yeah,
but I'm not like there to, like, you know, just me and myself drinking a bottle.
exactly. I hear what you're saying, man. I obviously, yeah. I mean, I can't drink like I used to. Like once in a while, I'll let it rip once a year, twice a year. But like, yeah, for me, I just don't have that enjoyment. I feel really, I get like the next day, I feel really, like especially when I was really dieting. Like I wasn't planning on doing any bodybuilding shows, but I was kind of getting in that body ready just because I want to know what my potential was, and I kind of want to see where I could get at. So I was training in that aspect, and when I had like a cheat night or I have my cheat meal, I would try like going out drinking, and the next morning it would not hit me as hard as if I wasn't as disciplined, but it was still I feel like really crappy. Like I just feel really just really bloated. I just feel
Yeah.
it in my stomach, my face, like everything just kind of felt like really like loose, and I didn't like that. So I
Your body's in shock, right? Because you're doing, you know, all this good meal eating and stuff, and then it's like, what the hell did you just do to me last night?
Exactly. So I just like, yeah, I hear what you're saying there. Um, yeah. So have you ever had any like problems with like other like your opponents like trying to like get on your skin, or has it just been very like, okay, we're gonna fight and that's that?
Yeah, I've had some cocky guys like thinking they're gonna take me out, and then I show them up real quick. Um, I had one amateur fight maybe, and he fought out at Adrenaline Training Center. It was Matty Hovorka. He turned pro as well, but he just like he thought I was talking trash all over the internet, yada yada yada. Not even about him. He's just like, and then he told the promoter, he's like, I want to fight him. He talks so much shit, yada yada yada. And I talk a lot of shit just to sell tickets, right? If I got to promote myself, I got to promote the event, right? So I talk a lot of shit just to sell tickets. And he didn't seem to like that. And then he's like, I'm just gonna whoop your ass, yada yada yada. And he came from a good gym, right?
Yeah.
So Adrenaline Training Center with all those like old time UFC vets like Mark Hominick and Malcolm Gordon, who's going to the Fight Island. He's out of there, and Jesse Ronson, I think, does a little bit of
I
training.
think so. Yeah, Bronson, yeah.
Who's also fighting on Fight Island on the 25th, I do believe.
I think
But and I ended up showing him what was up first round and knocking him out.
there you go.
Yeah. But other than that, I haven't had too much confrontation between opponents. They know what I bring, and I think they're kind of timid to talk trash to me because it's just gonna fire me up even more, and they're just gonna get a bigger ass whooping, right? So
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So have you, obviously, with like some organizations opening up and whatnot, have you heard anything about any organizations opening up, getting any offers or?
it doesn't look too promising in 2020, unless you're like someone like Malcolm Gordon, who's like 11-2, I think, or like TJ Laramie, who's going on Dana White Contender Series, because I think he's 11-2 as well. I mean, my hype train was going, but after two pro fights, you don't really got like the big leagues looking at you just yet, and COVID happened. And if COVID didn't happen, I'm sure, after 5-6 fights as a pro, knowing what I could do, they'd be like, yo, this guy's a beast, we can, but since COVID happened, my kind of it derailed my status, right? I'm still ranked like six in Canada, or six in Ontario, and like 10th in Canada or something like that. But it's only two pro fights, so it's kind of bummer, right? So I consider the fight game, that octagon fighting, I consider it my office, right? So I like to go to my office.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you're not on a bad start. So I mean, two pro fights and you've finished both guys. So I mean, that's not a bad start. Um, yeah. So like, oh shoot, I had something in my mind. Um, so do you have any like fighters that you look up to, like, or as idols?
Uh, my boy, like I've had, sorry, one sec. Um, Watching UFC back in the day, my top two favorite were like Sugar Rashad Evans before, he started going on the decline.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then I like Clay Guida. Clay Guida is like just a savage, and I like his like fighting mentality. He keeps getting hit, he keeps coming forward until you knock that guy out. He's gonna keep coming at you, and he's a wild man. And I just like how he brings that into the cage. Every time before he gets greased up and stuff, they smack him in the face to get him all riled up, right? Like, and I'm not talking light smacks, so they really smack him like just to get him going, and it's crazy, and I love it. Another one, he's fighting this weekend, George Mazadov. Oh, I can't wait. 6 days notice, but I think he's still gonna bring some heat. I'm still betting on him. But I like where he come from. Streets, Kimbo Slice. Him backyard fights and stuff. I like fighters like that come from like a different background, right? And just don't got daddy's money and pay for training, and then all of a sudden you're in the UFC, right? I like the grind.
Absolutely. Actually, let's kind of talk about that. So you obviously know there's the huge card coming up on this weekend. Are you planning on watching it?
Oh, for sure. Me and my supervisor already got bets on the 4 last main fights.
So who are you throwing your bets on?
I'm gonna take a Mazadov. I don't like Usman, right? Usman's a beast, but Usman's a beast. I love Mazadov though. After he knocked out Ben Askren in 5 seconds, I was like, wow. I'm gonna take Max Holloway. Holloway's my boy. I like Holloway. Even though he lost, now he's hungry, right? Because he hasn't lost in a while. So now I think he's a little bit hungrier. Jose Aldo, I think he's getting up there in age, and Peter, I think it's Peter Yan, Peter something.
Yeah.
But I've been watching a lot of his fights, and he's been taking guys out. I watched the Raya fight with him, and Araya's a good fighter. He's well knowledge, right? And Peter just like just demolished him, right? So after a few, and he hits hard, right? So I'm gonna take Peter, and then I gotta take my girl Paige. She's just a hottie.
I did a podcast with this guy. He kind of does like predictions and stuff like that for the UFC cards, and we talked a lot about Paige Van Zandt and Amanda Ribas, and with her, he like what he was trying to explain was like he doesn't think that she's fully in it. He thinks that's more she's just kind of in it for the I'm gonna get active, and she's kind of talked about like I make more money doing modeling or Instagram stuff
Instagram, yeah.
and actual fighting. And so it's like, I mean, if she decided this was my last fight and I want to retire and just do modeling, I mean, if you're making more money, yeah, if you don't have to get punched in the face doing it, I mean, that's totally your choice. But I think I guess the idea is that her mindset has to be in, you have to do this to love it. You've got to love to do what you want to do. You can't just do it because, I'm going to make some money. Like, yeah, that's part of it. That's part of your progression through your career. But if you are not loving what you do, if your mindset is not in it and you don't want to be the best of the best, because in the UFC, I mean, that's the highest level that you're going to be. And if you're not going to be serious about that, you're not going to go into that mind frame, then I mean you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And I think Ribas is looking like a killer lately, so it'll be really interesting. And the thing is, like you were kind of mentioning, you're betting on Masvidal. I mean, it's common sense to do that because he's the underdog anyway, and
Yeah, I love an underdog story.
exactly, and not just that. I mean, he's the underdog, so you always bet on the underdog no matter what, because that's why would you bet on the favorite unless you know for sure, like if it's Amanda Nunes, she's not gonna lose.
I actually bet against her for Felicia Spencer.
Really, that really
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Canadian, you gotta go with Canadian.
I mean, I kind of saw it where she could have been in trouble, and but no, Amanda she shocked me how much she didn't just dominate her on the feet, but she dominated her like in the grappling, like taking her down. Like, wow, she's just damn.
And I didn't think that was gonna happen with Felicia Spencer being like ground and pound kind of girl, right? And Amanda just showed new heights as a champion right there. And what she did to Cyborg, that sets it off, right? Cyborg.
I watching that Cyborg fight, if Cyborg fought her a little bit differently, like took her time, because of the way she rushed in. I mean, you can't rush in with punches from Nunes like that, because the way she kind of came in, she just ran right into her punches. I mean, that's the best way you're gonna get knocked out.
Yeah, and I think she didn't think she had that much power, right?
No.
And now she put the whole weight division on notice. Like she has that power.
Oh, exactly. But yeah, kind of go back to Jorge Masvidal. Like I think with him, I do believe he's actually going to win the fight. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's taking the fight on 6 days' notice," but the reality is, he's probably he like I think it was Dustin Poirier. He said that I was training with him. He's been training for Usman since day one. Like, he's been training for him. So it's not like he's not ready for him. Yeah, I mean, does he have the same advantage? Maybe not, but he's got nothing to lose here. If he loses the fight, what is he gonna say? Oh, people expecting me to win? I mean,
I think because he took it on 6 days notice, they'll give him a rematch. That's what I think. But I think well, it's not even 6 days now, but I think that weight cut's going to be brutal on him because, you have to get to that weight.
I mean, yeah, you never really know, but like,
unless he was almost there, right?
Yeah, you gotta wonder how much maybe you don't know when he started cutting that weight. And I mean, if he was smart, he would have already tried to like start cutting that weight as quick as he could the day that he said, yeah, I will try to go for that fight, or whatever the case it may be.
Or I think he already knew that was going to happen, and he was already in a training camp because he was just waiting to get that money, right? He knew something would happen, and then they'd turn to him and be like, yeah, we'll pay you this then. And they agreed on something, right? So he probably didn't get what he wanted, but they met in the middle, right? So he got some kind of money.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was, because I mean, he was going to get that fight, and then obviously the money thing kind of happened. And then, yeah, so you got to wonder if this is all mind games, like, and Usman's going to go in, and he's going to want Usman to go in I'm going to smash up this guy, and that's what he wants. And I think maybe that's kind of what's going on, is like, this is a total mind screw on everybody, and it's like, like, everyone's looking at this like the guy hasn't been training, blah 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 blah, and this is just going to be 6 days notice. He's going to get his ass whooped, and then that's it. I think he has been training, and he has been, maybe not cutting weight, but like he's been like maybe he might have been cutting down already. And then when you get that call, maybe he might only have, like, supposedly he has 20 pounds to go, but I mean,
that's nothing. That's nothing. And 2 days left, 20 pounds. That's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. He's not going to take the fight if he knows he can't make if he knows that he can't make the weight, he shouldn't be taking the fight.
Exactly. His name's Game Bread for a reason.
Exactly. And if he can make the weight and he knows he can fight that weight, I mean, you'll see at the weigh-ins, if he doesn't look okay, then okay.
You can tell, yeah, on his face.
I think he's
personally, I think he's going to get 3-piece and a soda, and then he's going to get baptized right after that.
You know what? I mean, like, as much as Usman is a killer and all that, I mean, he looked great against Covington. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, like, Usman, as much as I do respect him a lot more now, I think he's going to come in and he's going to overestimate the guy, and his boxing is going to just wreck Usman up. And I mean, that's the thing about Poirier. He's just got that kind of, he knows how to knock people out. That's the scary thing, is like, some guys can just hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Francis Ngannou is a good example. Like, he just hits people so freaking hard that no human can take that power.
Correct.
Whereas Poirier, yeah, he's got that power, and he knows where to pitch you. Like, he's been fighting in the backyard and fighting up guys like 2 times the size of him. Like, I love watching those fights. You look at this. Like,
you see Kimbo Slice in the background. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Rest in peace, Kimbo.
I remember when I was a teenager watching all those backyard fights. Is that so? Basically, you were telling me that you were like fighting out on the street. Is that like kind of stuff that you were doing back in the day?
Bar brawling, and before I was old enough for the bar brawl, I'd have like people. I'm a small guy, right? So I'd have people pick on me, and that's one thing you don't do with the Pitbull. They underestimate me, and then they get smacked up.
Right. So it wasn't so much like people just having fun, and it was more like you were just getting into fights then.
Yeah. Like somebody would talk shit, and Matt wouldn't take it, and then he'd chirp him back, and he'd like, "Oh, you want to fight?" I'm like, "Well, let's go." Oh. Kind of stuff like that. One time I fought 3 frat boys out of Windsor.
Really?
Because I made a stupid joke comment. The guy came to the party with sunglasses on, and I said, "The cabs are here." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you chirping me? Yeah, let me call my boys." I'm like, "I'll still be standing here." and I ended up wrecking him. I put him through like a fence, and the whole fence collapsed, and then his boys were like jumped all over it, and ended up with a busted nose from one of his boys. But you know, it was like a 3-on-1. What was I going to do?
That's the thing that really pisses me off about fighting now is like there's never a good fist fight between two people, and it's always
Unless you're in a cage.
of course, but I'm talking about just on the street. Like you can never see two people fighting now. It's always two people fight, someone jumps in and sucker punches you from behind. It's like come on. Like I get it. I know people are trying to stick up for people, but if someone's holding their own, what are you doing jumping in on the side and trying to punch someone? Like, come on. Like
Mm-hmm.
it pisses me off. Like I guess for me, like if I had to do what I needed to do on the street and someone comes up and sucker punches me in the head, I'm thinking, yeah, you better knock me out because once I'm done with him, I'm coming after you. Like
For sure. I used to back myself up against the wall so I know no one could come behind me.
that's smart.
Yeah. Fighter IQ.
There you go. Yeah, I know like just I heard someone I know got in a fight and he was at the bar and some guy did something to some girl and he got all pissed off. He was probably drunk, from what he told me, and he's like, "Oh, well, what the fucking hell, man!" Like, but and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, mind your own business," and shoved him, and he slipped, and he hit his back on the ground, and then he got mad, and then came up and punched the guy in the head, and then his buddy came up and sucker punched him, and it's like just stuff like that. It just like people can't fight fair anymore. It's ridiculous.
I tend to stick away from that nowadays because, you know, as I'm a pro mixed martial artist, my hands are registered now. So I get in trouble like that, then God, who knows what would happen.
Well, it just gets to a point where I mean, we get too old for that shit.
Oh no, I'd still do it. I'm never too old to whip someone's ass.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I try to refrain from that as well. I'm a DSW, so I can't really afford to get charged with assault. But I mean,
Correct. Yeah.
at the end of the day, if someone's attacking me, I gotta kind of do whatever I can do. I mean, like at the end of the day, like if it was one person, the best thing to do if they're really drunk or whatever, I more than likely it would be just
Let it go.
like I just shoot and take him down, just hold on to him until the cop comes. Instead of even pounding him, it would just be like double takedown, you know, full guard, and then just sit on him until someone comes because
for sure.
they're drunk, and I guess that's one thing that my mindset's changed from a couple of years ago where I started training and I thought I could just whoop anybody's ass, and I'd be like, oh well, anybody tries to get with me at the bar, or someone tries to attack me, I have to defend myself. I'm just gonna knock them right out, and I kind of look at it this way, like, you know what, they're probably just drunk, and they're probably just drunk, and what they need is just be controlled, right? At the end of the day, like that's
For sure.
But,
They're just looking for something, and that's when you just go the other way and just ignore it. That's what I've been doing the last few years. If I'm ever out, I don't go out much, but knowing what I know, what I have now, then it's not worth it, right? So I just kind of avoid the situation or walk the other way.
exactly. But yeah, man. Sorry, I kind of went off topic there, but I just want to thank you for coming on the podcast here, man.
No, for anytime, bro. If you want to do another one, hit me up. I have a bunch of people that would like to do podcasts with me, and I'm open. I'm open to any podcast. Keep the hype train going since I'm not fighting right now, right? So these podcasts do a little bit of help in that, and I'm sure it helps your channel too as well. You know, and I'm a pretty popular guy, right? So I'll get lots of views, and it'll just it'll spiral, and for sure, if you want to do another one, let me know. I enjoy doing these. I enjoy having these talks. Just two human beings, right? Shooting the shit, like, we're having a beer together or whatnot. Unfortunately, it had to be the fight game, right? So I have a lot to give information to give out there, and I like telling my stories on the journey along the way, right?
Well, I'm glad to hear that you've been able to share those stories. I hope that we can see the Pitbull fight soon. I just can't wait to see you fight again, man.
I'm dying for a fight. A lot of frustration working, out in this heat. I need somewhere to go put my lickings on, right? And
I think I heard about a couple guys who are talking shit. Just joking.
Oh Jesus!
But
Don't get someone beat up.
but yeah, man. Thanks again, and I hope that you take care and please stay cool.
For sure. Thanks for having me, Luke. I'm enjoying to watching more of your podcast. Quick shout out to CK Combat. We're coming back tomorrow. So if your kids are looking to join something, I think there's a limit on how many kids we can have and how many people we can have. But kids are on Thursdays and adults are Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 to 10:30. So if you're looking for something, they have a top pro flyweight at the gym, right? Teach you a little something, something. So look for that.
Alrighty. All right.
Have a good night, Larry, Luke.
You too.